werepanthers are kind of like the white trash version of the werewolves. And they're all
still
kind
don't
of weird
see-
and creepy and live together. Yeah, it's a really strange thing.
I still don't see where the otters fit in here, Greg.
Okay, well, we'll have to really explain this. Hello, everyone.
All right.
This is Between the Streams, our weekly show where we go in depth with television and movies and TV, everything that you could possibly think of when it comes to entertainment, streaming,
things.
all of that stuff. And we've got
true.
a bunch of things that we're going to get to today. We're going to get to some Marvel news. We've got some updates on a bunch of different things, possible new series that we're going to come up on. We've got a Tupac and Biggie movie we're going to cover, some Game of Thrones cameos, all kinds of things. We want to hear your comments. So if you're watching right now, go ahead and pop in there on YouTube, and you can leave your comment, questions, whether you agree or disagree with us. You can tell us all that right there.
Usually disagree.
Usually disagree, but that's
Why
fine.
would you comment if you agree?
That's fine. I'll listen to a disagreement. I'll just tell you you're wrong. That's all it is.
Yeah.
No, maybe you're right. So we definitely want to hear that, and we definitely want to hear what you want to talk about. So go ahead and put those in there. I'm Greg Nibbler.
I'm Ryan Juanita.
And let's maybe we should start off right with this first one. This is a show both you and I just watched.
Yeah.
It's brand new.
I
Just
watched
released.
it this morning
And
during work hours
because
because that's how cool my job is.
That's
that
pretty cool.
I have
So-
to watch TV for work.
now you're bragging about it. No, it's just, but that is pretty damn cool. So
Hotlanta.
it is not Hotlanta.
Is it
Oh,
not?
No. Well, I
That's-
mean, I guess it is.
That's what
Hotlanta,
Champ
but-
calls it on The Office.
That's true. It is Atlanta on
Okay.
FX. So this is the new series from Donald Glover.
This is the most excited I've been about a show in, I don't know, a long time.
Yeah.
Definitely this year. I can't think of the last time I saw a show that was this well put together in the first episode.
Yeah, it is. It is really, really good. And the thing is, so it's a comedy and drama.
Yeah, and there may be other elements. Now, we should be clear that what I saw reminded me basically of what Ballers is trying to do with sports, except with music.
Okay.
And better. That's what I felt
right.
like. I mean, it's sort of like a guy who's trying to hustle. He's sort of down and out.
Yeah.
He's a Princeton dropout, so we know he has major potential, and that's part of his story right now is how he has squandered his potential.
Yeah.
We sort of learn like a lot of things are not going well for him in his life, but his cousin is becoming this up-and-coming rapper that everyone's talking about, and he wants to become the manager. And it's got that feel, that hustle feel of like Entourage or Ballers to me. But I feel like it's
Sure.
much wittier. Donald Glover his comedic timing is as perfect as ever, but he also does a really good job in the drama moments. I
Yeah.
think there are some really complex characters here.
Well, and he's an interesting actor and just
He's just
person on
well,
his own.
he's basically a Renaissance man. He's a sarcastic he's a sort of sarcastic rapper.
Yeah.
Childish
Gambino.
and
Yeah.
he's been he's
Community,
absolutely
obviously,
amazing
from
in Community. And then
Yeah.
we saw him in The Martian. He did a good job in a more serious role. So we're just seeing his talents. I mean, and they're seeming to grow.
I think you're absolutely right. I think this is going to be a big showcase for Donald Glover as far as like coming out. He's going to become much more known. I mean, a lot of people, I think you recognize him, but you may not even know
Yeah.
his name. Be like, oh yeah, that guy from Community. That's Donald
And you might
Glover.
think Danny Glover.
Yeah, not related to Danny Glover.
Not the same guy.
Not the same guy at
Very
all.
different.
Big age range there.
And he's not too old for this, you know what?
Yeah, yeah.
That's the real difference.
So, that is true.
How long was Danny Glover too old for it? He just kept coming back.
I don't know.
He was too old for it in the first Lethal Weapon, and then he just
Yeah,
kept coming back.
Well, I mean, the checks are there.
I digress.
Yeah. Anyway, Danny Glover used to live in Portland too, and he
Really?
used to- yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I'm
yeah.
a fan.
Yeah, I never actually saw him, but I know quite a few people that saw him shopping for groceries. That is the end of my Danny Glover story,
All
so you
right,
can
then.
go ahead and bank that there and share that with your friends.
But yeah, there's
so-
a lot of other cool characters in this. Darius, the sort of like Big Boy's sidekick, is a really good comic relief
Yeah, and he's
character. And
that actor. Just side note, played Snoop Dogg in Straight Outta Compton.
is that right?
Yeah, so that's the same guy that did that.
Well, he's pretty
great
funny.
actor.
He's dropping the lines pretty well, and yeah, he has a complex relationship with his girlfriend. He's got a kid to
Yeah,
bring up and
right.
whatever. So he's got a lot going on in this episode. I don't want to give too much away, but
No, but I definitely can say this. Like, I mean, it's really, really good.
right. And we should also mention though that he describes it as Twin Peaks with rappers, and I don't know what that means. We won't give it away, but there's a major event that happens in the first show and leaves a major cliffhanger. And we
Yeah.
should also say that the first episode is available on YouTube, which is one of the reasons we're bringing it up on this show.
Anybody can watch it.
You can watch the first episode, and then later episodes will be on FX.
Yeah. So definitely give it a watch. I mean, it's free to try it out, and just came out on September 6th, I think,
Yeah.
is when it was released. So brand new, Donald Glover.
Yeah, and it's like at 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. Everybody is lavishing it with praise, so it's no surprise that we enjoyed it. But I was surprised at just how well it all clicked in the pilot. Mm-hmm. So we'll see what happens.
It kind of reminds me of Aziz Ansari's breakout with his own television show, the one that he had, and then
Yeah,
a little
I mean,
bit, I
to
can see
me,
a
this
little bit
is
of parallel
much
there.
more professionally crafted, though, especially the writing and the acting.
Yeah.
I mean, I like Aziz's show; it's funny, but this is just so pro, like right
Yeah.
away. It feels like to me.
Yeah. Good call. Well, yeah, so Atlanta on FX. FX has been killing it. We're going to talk about some of their series, too.
They
Another
really
one
are.
of theirs here in just a little bit. But let's go on to the weekend box office preview.
If we have to.
Yeah, well, and see what's out there. This is something that we do every week just to let you know what you can go see if you choose to do so,
Yeah.
what's coming out, releasing this weekend.
And it's the end of the summer, and we all know what happens at the end of the summer. They kind of get the last gasp of,
Yeah.
I feel like people are really mailing it in, but there is one movie that looks pretty interesting to me, and of course that's Sully
Yeah.
with Tom Hanks.
Tom Hanks, pretty much anything he's in,
He's
it's
great.
going to be good.
He's always
You
good.
know it's going to be solid.
I have a story about him, by the way.
Okay,
Yeah,
I want to hear
following
that.
this.
Okay. All right. Well, Sully, the story of, we all know the story of
Captain Chesley Sullenberger.
Chesley Sullenberger.
Which
I
is
always mess
not-
up his first name.
That's not a great name.
No.
You can see why he went with Sully.
Captain Chesley Sullenberger.
I also think that Sully is one of the lamest names for a blockbuster ever. Just like in general, just Sully.
Well, but that's his
Like-
nickname,
No,
right?
and I totally get why this
Yeah.
movie would be named that, and I think everybody now knows it. But I feel like in 10 years, people are going to look back and like, Sully.
What's
What the
Sully?
hell is that?
Well, it's the story
The
of
Miracle on the Hudson.
Yeah, the actual captain who landed the plane that malfunctioned on the Hudson River and saved everybody. And it's
Lost 2 planes. I think they hoovered like an entire flock of birds.
Oh yeah.
Or sorry, 2 engines.
Sorry,
I should
the
say.
birds. The birds didn't fare well in this.
No,
that's
they're the only ones that didn't make it out.
true. So he landed the plane on there, and this is that story with Tom Hanks, of course, playing the role of Sully. Directed by, is it Clint Eastwood that directed
Yeah,
this?
it's Clint Eastwood.
All right.
Whatever you
Still
think of his
directing
politics,
film.
the man can still make a good movie.
The man can still direct. That is absolutely true. But yeah, this is one I'll clearly see at some point. It's one
Yeah.
of those ones you just kind of have to see.
And we know this movie is about the landing, but of course it's also about sort of what I think most of us in the public didn't know about, which was like the FAA's like investigation afterwards.
Right.
They were like, you probably could have made it back to the airport. There was all this
Have you been
questioning about his
drinking?
methods. And
What's your home life like?
Yeah.
Yeah.
As in any case.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely a lot of that. So it looks like it's going to be another great movie. Sully,
The action alone looks pretty interesting. They
Yeah.
say that it's just like spectacular the way it's done.
Well, so that is out this weekend. But also out this weekend is not much else that's releasing. However, we do have London Road.
I brought
and
this one up just because it's so weird.
I'm unfamiliar with this, so maybe you can
So
let us
this is
know.
Tom Hardy is in it.
Okay.
That's one reason I brought it up.
Okay. Like Tom
Olivia
Hardy.
Colman is in it. She's in The Night Manager. She's also in one of my favorite shows, Peep Show. She's a huge British actress, and she's kind of crossing over
Okay.
into the U.S. now. She's more and more becoming a bigger actress.
Gotcha.
But yeah, so this is a weird thing. It's about 5 dead girls found in a small town in England, but it's a musical.
What?
Yeah. Like a
Okay.
weird kind
And
of
it's-
hybrid musical, and
Okay.
Tom Hardy's in it.
Okay.
I don't know if he sings.
Is it a comedy about 5 dead girls?
It's
or
really hard to tell
Okay.
what this is, but I think if you're looking for something totally different and you like musicals, this
that
would
sounds
be the
about
one.
as different as it can get.
It's getting pretty good scores
Okay.
by the critics as well.
All right, London Road.
And everything else out this weekend is pretty much just getting thrashed.
Yeah, that's one of the highlights. is
Yeah, I
London
know.
Road.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, one of the most notable ones, I guess.
Yeah, I don't even know if it's notable. I just brought it up because it was weird.
Yeah, that is
I
definitely
think if you're going to
strange.
go to the movies, you're going to see something that was already out, or you're going to see Sully.
Or you got to see something, yeah, Sully, that'll be the one.
Maybe Cuba. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, boy, right, bringing it back up again. We'll see how many weeks.
Oh yeah,
I still need to see it.
I
though.
was going to tell my Tom Hanks story real quick.
Yes, what is this Tom
backtracking.
Hanks
So
story?
apparently, my girlfriend used to be an assistant for a bunch of different movie studios, and
Nice.
all of them have this like Facebook thing where they share their worst assistant story, like their
Oh, no.
most embarrassing assistant story.
Okay.
So one of the dudes that shared the story, he was Tom Hanks' assistant. I'm not even sure what movie it was on, but yeah, he was supposed to go out and get Tom Hanks a burrito, and he came in and knocked on the door.
Tom Hanks a burrito
Get
right
Hanks
now.
a burrito. That's what you do when you're assistant.
I guess so, yeah.
And so he's knocking on the door, and apparently nobody answers. So he opens the door, and there's Tom Hanks with his pants down and his shirt off, in his underwear. And the guy is like profusely, because he's like changing. He's in the changing room.
Okay.
And the
I mean,
guy's
I could go either way.
No,
I don't know
no.
where.
Yeah, no. He's like changing. The guy like walks in on him when he's changing, and he's profusely like apologizing. And good old Tom Hanks is like, "Yay, my burrito! Thank you." So it's true. Tom Hanks really is a great guy.
Oh, that's awesome.
Which I always like to see that, because you feel like you know people when they come on TV, they come on
Right.
talk shows. You're like, there's no way Tom Hanks could be an asshole, right?
Right. But you never know. You never know, though, with some of that.
Exactly. But
That is good. Tom
that's a good
Hanks
story to back up that Tom Hanks is a good guy.
just eats burritos with his pants off, apparently.
And that too. Who doesn't?
I'm still entertained.
I mean,
by
that's
that
when I'm
story.
at my most happy, is when I'm eating a burrito with my pants off.
My pants.
That's heaven.
All right, that'll be next week's episode, a special edition.
Sure.
All right, so
Why not?
there's the box office. London
We're live,
Road,
folks.
Sully.
You never know what's going to happen.
You never know. So, and let us know your comments in there. I know some people are watching right now. If you have thoughts on this, if you have thoughts on Tom Hanks with his pants off, probably not. Comment on that. But other things that are coming up. So we're going to be hitting us up in a minute. We've got some more Marvel rumors that are happening, possibly new television series, news on Doctor Strange, Game of Thrones cameos.
Whoa. That's a lot of stuff.
A lot of stuff. It's a lot of stuff to get to. However, we do have this right now, and I am hesitant to be excited about this, even though the general topic is something I think is probably worthy of a movie. And it's this new Johnny Depp movie where Johnny Depp's going to star. It's a movie about Tupac and Biggie.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds weird when
Yeah.
you think of it on the surface, but it's actually pretty intriguing to me. This was a book, and then it became, I think they did a documentary sort of based on the book. Might have even been on Netflix not too long ago.
Okay.
But this is going to be a biopic about this guy, Randall Sullivan. No, wait. The book is Randall Sullivan. The detective is Russell Poole. And he was one of the guys who worked on the case of the B.I.G. murders and the Tupac murder and the B.I.G. murder in the 90s. And he said, he was one of the people that was big on the conspiracy things. This is a detective in the middle of it all. He says that there were ties between the cops, the music industry, gangs, and the cases themselves. All of that intertwined. He maintains that all of this was intertwined. And of course, that was a big thing at the time. That, Tupac thought that Biggie had him shot when he survived his first shooting, and then later Biggie got killed.
I mean,
and
it was the
later
whole East
Tupac
Coast,
got
West
killed.
Coast.
Yeah, it was a huge thing for those that don't remember the 90s. And we're talking about two of the greatest rappers of all time.
Yeah.
In a time when rap was like true to life gangster. Like put the R on there, because they were like, at least dealing with gangsters,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I don't know. I think it could be interesting, and Johnny Depp is going to play the cop.
Of course, Johnny Depp will play the cop. I mean, I think it's a story that should be told. I don't like the name Labyrinth because that's already
Right,
That's
I guess we
already
didn't
taken.
talk.
It's that
we
movie's
didn't
already
talk
taken.
about the name, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, why name it
Well,
Labyrinth?
if you
Labyrinth
look
is
at the
synonymous with
book-
David Bowie. That's
so-
just how it is to me.
That's true, and
mean-
not just David Bowie, but that skin-tight outfit that all scarred us all when we were children.
There's a drinking game you can play to that to the original Labyrinth David Bowie movie. I won't say it on this show, but maybe we'll say it some other time.
Well, I will say that Jennifer Connelly was a sexual awakening for me of sorts. This is like 12 years old watching Labyrinth.
We're finding out all kinds of things right now. So, but
the
why,
reason
why
it's
going
called
with that name?
Labyrinth is because L.A. in the book, it's
Yeah.
L.A. capital, and then
But still, I mean, just come up with a different name for it. It seems like it would make more sense. However, that's what they're going with. So,
Do you feel like this is besmirching the great late
Yes.
Mr. Bowie?
I think it's besmirching that entire movie, and
Yes.
there's just no reason
Shouldn't
to
happen.
do that. No, it just shouldn't happen. Like, I'm going to come out with a movie called E.T., but it has nothing to do with that. It's about extras. I don't know, something else. I couldn't come up with something. But anyway, it's just it just doesn't make sense. You can't do that.
All right.
It's just not going to work. So anyway, there we go.
Well, that's fair.
However, The movie itself does look like it's going to be good. So this is going to be coming out. It's Johnny Depp starring in the Tupac Biggie drama Labyrinth.
And it's directed by Brad Furman, who did The Lincoln Lawyer
Yeah.
and The Infiltrator.
Okay,
I can't talk today. Don't
good
worry about
resume.
it.
No, sorry, I just got heated up about that. I just realized I got a little worked up about the
You get
Labyrinth.
blushed in the face.
I got a little worked up about the Labyrinth tie-in. All right, let's go on to something else. Some more news about sequels. And this is just crazy to me.
I want to say that this is wholly unsubstantiated.
Okay.
And we're just going to be totally lose our
We're
integrity and just talk
speculating.
about it.
Well, we've got a couple of things to speculate
It's
on
just kind
that
of
are in the
crazy
news. Yeah.
story. Who knows if it's true? It seems like it couldn't be true, but
Yeah.
we'll talk about it. There was word from one organization that was then repeated by many others. The organization was Radar, which said that Daniel Craig has been offered $150 million for 2 more James Bond films.
Because he's been supposedly refusing to play Bond again. He doesn't want to do it. He doesn't want to go
there's
back
the
to that
famous line, I would rather slash my wrists
Yeah.
than play Bond again.
So why would he be offered this much money if he doesn't want to do it? Surely there are more actors out there that could play.
Do you want to hear a conspiracy theory?
What
about
is
it?
the conspiracy theory?
It's my conspiracy theory.
Okay.
They were
Conspiracy
all
theory time.
lined up for Tom Hiddleston.
Yeah.
And then he started prancing around with Taylor Swift in the water with his little tee on. And
So
they're
you think
like,
that's it?
this is not a very becoming of James Bond. And now they're like, we got to start all over again for the search.
So you think
Can
that's
we
what it
get
is?
Craig? I don't think at all that's what it is. That's
Okay.
just my stupid conspiracy theory.
Well, all right.
I have
Well,
no idea, but I know that like Hiddleston and this Taylor Swift thing was not...
Yeah.
I don't know. It was not that classy of a move.
Okay.
It seemed like a totally made-up relationship. They have now broken up, but they were dancing around in front of, all kinds of paparazzi and stuff.
Yeah.
It seemed like one of those Hollywoods, like, here's some money, like, we'll do
Yeah,
this
go do this. We
thing,
need
and
some photos
we'll both
taken.
make some, headlines. And
Yeah. All right.
Hard
well,
to say, but...
who would you want to? Do you have anybody in mind that you would want to see? Play?
Well, I thought Hiddleston could be a great
Hiddleston,
Bond.
yeah.
It's hard to say after that. Lots of other people have been named, from Tom Hardy to Idris Elba.
Yeah, I was gonna say Tom Hardy would be great too. Idris Elba, I think, would be good.
Yeah, I don't know about Hardy. I don't know if I
don't
see
think so?
Hardy as Bond.
Yeah.
I think he's too defined as
Whatever he is.
he's Tom Hardy. Then on the other side of it, he always seems to slip into his roles entirely. So maybe he could do it.
Yeah.
He's really good at camouflaging himself, but I don't know.
Well, we'll see.
I feel like Tom Hardy doesn't want to be tied down to a role like that either. He loves doing weird stuff, like a freaking musical about dead kids in England.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
So,
true.
I don't know.
Producer Dan just said Donald Glover might have been one of the ones considered as well for
For
James Bond.
Bond?
Yeah.
No.
I could kind of see that.
He was being considered for Spider-Man. I don't know if he was being considered for Bond. Really?
Well,
By fans.
yeah.
Okay, sure.
I mean, if we're going in speculation,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, Sony, I think, from what we've read, is losing rights or could lose rights to it. So they may
Okay.
be trying to like double down.
all right.
It's hard to say, but anyway, that's the rumor that he's being offered an unbelievable sum of money to be Bond for 2 more movies.
All right. Well, before we get back into some of the other, officially, it's
Yeah.
been stated that Angela Lansbury, if you didn't hear this one, the rumor was that Angela Lansbury,
Who made that? Did you make that?
I found that online.
Okay.
There's a picture of Angela
Look how she's so
Lansbury
happy about it.
smiling, sitting on the Game
Just
of
a
Thrones.
very cordial-
So the rumor was that she was going to be
cordial
making
queen.
a cameo appearance in this upcoming season for 2 episodes in Game of Thrones. Whoever started this, it's a very odd rumor.
Bizarre.
I mean, she's a great actress, I guess.
Murder, She Wrote.
Yeah, Murder She Wrote for sure. No, I just picture it's Murder She Wrote walking around Game of Thrones, like walking around
All I
the
can
High
hear
Castle.
is that theme song, that Murder She Wrote theme song. I loved that when I was a kid. I don't know why. And everybody was like,
But
why
Cersei
are
was in
all
the
these
boardroom
people
at the time.
dying around this old woman? What's going on
Yeah.
here? Everywhere she goes, there's another murder.
Which does make sense why she would, be on Game of Thrones. Everybody does
That's
die. However,
true.
that rumor is not true, but I do think this whole cameo thing is going to start to heat up with this last, season of Game of Thrones
if
coming
they
up.
do it again.
I kind of think they will.
Well,
That's what I'm
the
worried
big one
about.
last season was Ian McShane.
Yeah, which he could have
And-
stayed in for a while. That I would have been fine with that, but we knew it
But
was
your
a cameo.
problem with it was what?
That it was a cameo, that you knew
And
he was going to
why?
get out because you already knew.
Right.
You already knew he was only in there for a certain amount of time, so it's like, okay, he's going to, well, spoilers, he's going to die quick. I mean, sorry, it's been out for a while, and it's not really a spoiler.
And I
Everybody
think if
knows
you
he
know
dies.
he was a cameo, then you know he's
then
going
you know
to
you're
die.
dying, yeah.
He's not just moving.
I'm worried about this trend, though, where they're going to start doing this with some more actors, bringing them in just to get them into Game of Thrones, just to, spice up these final season as if they need to do it.
I will
go
say
for
this:
Westmore
I
Rock.
thought he was great in the role that he did play.
Ian
But
McShane's great.
I think,
Absolutely.
to your point, it's someone that's too famous, not to either be on the thing for a long time,
Yeah.
a long time, and we knew that he had plenty of other projects. So
Yeah.
the writing was on the wall right away.
Well,
and I see your point there.
Yeah.
because it's sort of interrupting the narrative.
It takes me out of it.
It interrupts the narrative
Yeah.
in some ways.
You keep Ian McShane in there for a while. I love Ian McShane.
Yeah.
Great. I mean, he was great in his role, but I'm just taken out of it. I'm just like, oh yeah, there's Ian McShane. He's gonna die now.
Well, and I think it might be worse for people like us because you and I know he's working on another television show,
Yeah.
and so there was no way he could have done it. And
Yeah.
we'll talk about that TV show as it comes up. It's
Right.
going to be really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. So anyway, those are some of the rumors that were circulating
good
around. Rumor talk. And let's get to something that's not a rumor. It has to do with Netflix.
Yeah.
Always killing it. And Narcos, which Narcos season 2 is out. I'm almost done with season 2. But they've already renewed it for seasons 3 and 4. So seasons 3 and 4 of Narcos already renewed. And you may be wondering, look, and this is not a spoiler. Pablo Escobar died. That's a fact. Died a long time ago. And this is clearly, the series, if you haven't watched it, it's the story of him kind of shortly getting to his fame. Like the season 1 kind of gets him rising to his power, but then a lot of it is about his power, maintaining it. At one point he was the world's richest criminal. I think maybe still.
Yeah.
Depending
he
on
was
how
a
you judge it.
multi-billionaire, wasn't he?
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Depending on how you judge it, what a criminal is. But yeah, so it's the story of that, and the season 2 kind of picks up the same narrative along the lines, and we know where that winds up.
But in season 2, the noose is tightening.
The noose is tightening. Yeah. So again, no spoilers, but it's just following generally the historical timeline. Now in season 2, I will say this, I'm almost done. They do start to bring in characters that are not necessarily loosely based on historical fact.
Yeah. So my assumption is going to be that at some point in the 3rd or 4th season, we are not going to be talking about Pablo anymore. It's going to be a new villain, and it's mostly going to be about the United States' major drug war in Colombia.
And that probably, I think there's a couple speculations you can have with where they're going to go with it. Like, I think Pablo.
Or do you think they'll draw it out?
I think he dies. I think they end that. And again, I'm not going to give a spoiler because I haven't watched the entire
we don't
thing.
know.
I know he's got to die eventually.
We're speculating when.
Because they're running out of material for what's going on. But yeah, so Pablo Escobar will die, and then I think for season 3 they may pick it back up with one of the other cartels, or kind of like you said, like the overall U.S. war on drugs.
But I just wonder if that's going to work.
Well, you can go
It seemed like it could have been a really good miniseries to just jump in with 2 seasons and go out.
Yeah, you could spin it off and go back until like Manuel Noriega or something like that, or I think at this point in time he's already in jail, but there's different avenues they could take.
So you mean they can find another big name?
Another big name.
Yeah. Maybe that'll work.
Another big drug name. But renewed for seasons 3 and 4. And it is a great show, so I trust that they're going to find some way to take it. We'll see what they do with that. Another Netflix series that's going to be coming has to do with the Amanda Knox. Amanda Knox, if you don't remember her.
Yeah.
So
she was a pretty young lady that got
from Seattle, I believe.
Serious trouble.
Yeah, that went over to Italy, if you remember this story, and she was an exchange student over there. Something happened, and her roommate was murdered, and then she was arrested, the boyfriend, and then the friend was arrested.
And she was like canoodling with the boyfriend, or
yeah, well, and that's where it's
that the story?
Kind of a mystery as far as what happened. She claims she didn't do it, and they all claim this. They have no idea how it happened.
Yeah.
But yet DNA evidence really, really leads you to think that she was involved in it.
And she was there for several years.
In Italy,
in the trial,
in jail. Yeah, and there's some weird. Then there was this weird sex group they had. So it's like there's all kinds of things.
I knew about that. I try not to get too into these things because they're so exploited by the media that I feel like I just turn off. But this is an intriguing story.
And that's why I think they could do a really good job.
And she's in the documentary heavily, at least in the trailers.
So
as are other people, some of whom think she's guilty.
Yeah.
Including the Italian prosecutor, I believe.
Oh, yeah. She can never go back to Italy again. She is very much reviled.
And her quote, the big quote in the trailers is, either I'm a psychopath in sheep's clothing or I'm you.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't, she's creepy.
Either? Like, what do you mean?
Too creepy. Too creepy.
Also, that's a mixed metaphor.
Yeah.
That's just bad English.
Yeah. I don't know about that. So that's.
Yeah. But it should be an interesting watch. I feel like now that it's not part of the news cycle and being exploited, I could actually enjoy. Well, I don't know if enjoy is the right word. I'd be intrigued by going through and watching this documentary and seeing exactly what happened.
Yeah, I mean,
How it all went down.
Yeah, I would be curious to see it too. So we'll see what goes on with that.
Yeah.
Coming up here in a minute, we're going to talk about Deathstroke and some more Marvel updates and go with those. So let us know if you have any comments or questions about those. But one more series I did want to kind of hit up just before we go into that stuff. It has to do with Better Things. And it's a show on FX. And it's another one, we were talking about how FX is really killing it and doing such a great job.
Yeah.
And this is one that's, if you like Louis C.K., it's another series that just came out here, Better Things. You're going to love this show, I think.
It's essentially a spin-off.
Kind of, yeah. It's a spin-off, although she's a different character
Separate
in this.
story, but it's, it's like...
Yeah, and it revolves around Pamela Adlon. And if you don't know her, you might recognize her. She was also the voice of Bobby on King of the Hill. And the show is directed by Louis C.K., written by Louis C.K. and Pamela Adlon. So it's a very Louis C.K. feel. And I watched the first episode of it. It's great. I mean, it's really good.
You really enjoyed it?
I enjoyed it. I mean, I also really like Louis C.K.
Yeah.
And in particular, Louis, the television show on
I really enjoy
FX.
Louis, too. I think sometimes that show straddles the line for me about just being too much about kids.
Yeah.
I actually really like Louis. I just feel like that Better Things, from what I saw in the trailer, might go further into it than I want to.
Yeah.
If you have kids, it's probably perfect for you because it's like a lot of jokes about the trials and tribulations of raising children.
That's a good
For
point.
me, I don't have children. I'm not really that excited about watching those trials and tribulations. The show does look funny to me. I just wonder, Louis is just enough for me. I just wonder if this one's going to go further into it. But I haven't seen it. You've seen it, correct?
I've seen it.
So
yeah.
what were your take? What was your take on that?
You've got a good point there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does revolve around the kids.
A lot
At least in
around the
this
kids.
first episode, it
Yeah.
seems like they're very much introducing the characters, so maybe
Right.
they'll get away from that. It's also, some of the funniest moments are her. She is, it's a rough, semi-autobiographical series.
Okay, so is she an actress then?
She's an actress
Oh,
in
okay.
it, so they show her on set, and then in
I see.
uncomfortable sex scenes and different things like that. So it's
That's cool.
yeah, I think it's got a lot of potential. I would definitely say give it a shot. So that's one of the new ones from FX.
Well, I guess that makes sense since Louis is a comedian.
yeah. All right.
If it works, keep going with it.
Yeah, keep sticking with that thing. All right, we've already got a Deathstroke question in the chat right here for the YouTube channel. So let's go ahead and go to this news about
Let's do it.
Deathstroke. And it is the official casting
Absolutely.
for the new Ben Affleck Batman solo movie that's going to be happening. And it is going to be, this is what we were talking about at the beginning of the show, how the hell to pronounce
Joe
his name.
Manganiello.
Joe Manganiello. That guy.
That guy.
Joe Manganiello.
If you're on YouTube, you can see him.
Yeah, you can see him there. If you watch the new Pee-wee movie, he was Pee-wee's sidekick
He was
in
in
that movie.
Spider-Man. He was in True Blood.
True Blood, where he played the werewolf.
Yeah.
He is that guy. So he is cast as Deathstroke,
Yeah,
which Deathstroke's a great character.
The casting is one part of the story. The other big part of the story is we know that he's going to be the main villain in Ben Affleck's Batman movie,
Solo
which
Batman
Affleck
movie.
is going to direct.
Okay. So
And Jeff Johns, who is DC Comics' chief creative officer, he also helps sort of guide the DC extended universe, all their movies, for better or for worse.
Right.
He's sort of the counterpart to Zack Snyder. He's co-writing the movie with Ben Affleck. And yeah, Deathstroke is going to be the lead villain. And the one thing that we don't know right now is whether or not Deathstroke is going to be in Justice League. That hasn't come out yet.
Okay, there seems to be a lot of speculation on Justice League of who's actually going to be.
Yeah, well, they love that.
Yeah.
Because the more speculation they get leading in, the more questions they're going to have at, box office time, and the more
Right.
people are going to go see the film.
Yeah, to see who's going to pop up in there. It's even,
Absolutely.
being asked in the chat here. Just a question: is Deathstroke anyhow linked with Red Hood? I don't know.
Not sure on that
Yeah,
one.
not sure.
We're thinking they're
preliminary
going
news
with
right now.
the original Deathstroke. Who? Let's give a little information about Deathstroke for those
Sure.
who don't know. I had to do some research on that. I don't dig quite this deep, but he's a pretty big character. He first appeared in 1980, and he is an elite mercenary who's subjected to military experimentation. You've heard this story before.
Right.
Basically, it gives him superhuman strength. It gives him, he's part of a meta-human super soldier
Okay.
project. And he comes out of it and, goes bad, I guess. There's a lot of little storylines in between. His daughter is her throat is cut, and that like puts a rift between he and his wife, who was also his trainer. He's like a badass when it comes to tactical fighting. He's like one of the best mercenaries even before they give him the skills. So once he gets the skills, he becomes a really, really formidable villain. However, what's really interesting to me, and which I did not know, I knew a little bit about Deathstroke, but what I didn't know, and I guess maybe this is obvious, is that Deadpool was inspired by Deathstroke. In fact, he was created as a parody of Deathstroke.
That's fascinating.
And knowing that, and knowing the success of Deadpool, the film, that makes a lot of sense why they would pull Deathstroke in for this new Batman movie.
Absolutely.
Okay. I mean, all of the Batman stuff
we've
seen, right? Yeah. All of the Batman stuff we've seen before doesn't even get close to this deep in the Marvel or in the DC villain, substructure. All the like the lower villains. We all know Penguin, we all know the Riddler, we all know this stuff. Deathstroke's a little deeper, but now that Deadpool is pulled out and I think it's a really good time to introduce Deathstroke, and he seems like a really cool character.
It does seem like a cool character. I mean, and I do like Joe Manganiello, and and the character has been, in all fairness, part of Arrow.
He's been on the Arrow TV show for a while, so audiences are going to know a lot about him if they've been following that. If you're big into DC and you like the Greg Berlanti, TV shows, I'm not a fan, but some people are, then you may know Deathstroke already. But this is probably going to be a different take on it.
Version. Yeah, because they're not going to have the crossover.
No, they don't cross them. Yeah. They don't cross them at all. Like the new Flash isn't going to be.
They're not even
the
in the
television
same universe.
Flash.
Yeah.
I'm not sure exactly how they're arranging the universe.
I mean, if it's different actors.
But it's definitely different actors, so it's really hard. Yeah, how would you connect those universes exactly?
Yeah. So that's the news though on Deathstroke. I'm excited. I like that villain. I think it's a great.
Sounds like it's going to be fun.
Yeah.
The way they bring.
He's also missing an eye.
He is missing an eye.
Yeah, which is why he's got that cool suit. Just if you're watching on YouTube, if we can show it one more time, I think you kind of see. Yeah, his on the right side there is no.
Yeah, he sort of accentuates it to like be cool.
Yeah, to be cool.
And he's just badass. Like he's great with weapons. He's great with hand-to-hand combat. He's got superhuman strength.
Yeah, very exciting.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, very, very cool. So Deathstroke, that is the confirmed casting is Joe Manganiello and
until we hear different, I guess. I mean, that's what everybody's reporting. So.
Yeah, I can see it. He'd be a great supervillain. So
he's ripped.
Yeah, definitely has that going for him.
Yeah.
All right, well, should we get to these Marvel updates?
Yeah, let's move on to Marvel.
So these are just kind of some quick hits from Marvel that we've been seeing happening over this last week. We can do Doctor Strange first, I guess.
Sure.
Yeah, let's do that. So Doctor Strange, we know it's coming out. We did find out that it's going to be released a few days earlier than in the U.S. In the U.K., they're going to get an earlier release date.
They've been doing that a lot lately.
Why is that? Do you have
it's
a
hard to
reason
say.
why?
It's hard to say. They've, for years, Europe didn't get anything until weeks after the United States. But movies are just more global now. A lot of movies that even don't do well in the U.S. Make all of their back-end money, all of their money to propel the franchise forward comes from the European and Chinese audiences. So I guess maybe it's sometimes they're just like, we'll throw you guys a bone. We'll go first here, and then
give
we'll
it a
hit
boost
the US.
over there.
Yeah.
Well, there is a new picture that's come out from it, and this was actually posted on the Russian Marvel site.
Oh, cool.
Where there's just a picture of kind of Doctor Strange looking, I guess, I'm not sure where that would be.
That was actually in the trailer, this scene. I'm also not sure where it is. In the trailer, the big part about this scene was his cape was moving around. His cape sort of has its own, like, momentum or something. It's
his
like
Sanctorum.
That's his Sanctorum there.
Yeah, that's what it would be. So anyway, new picture there. Doctor Strange finding out a little more. I'm really looking forward to this movie when it comes out.
It's going to be sweet, I think.
And I think we'll probably find out a little bit more before it comes out, but I bet
they're just going to keep teasing us and teasing us.
Yeah.
And people like us will show you what they've been teasing.
Yeah. Well, this stuff goes into a little more of the speculation thing. I've got two more things. One, interesting if they decide to go with it. The other one, I would love if they went with it. The first, we'll talk about Ms. Marvel. So Ms. Marvel is definitely gets a lot of press.
Ms.
Marvel. So there's a difference between, and again, I had to start studying a little bit myself to figure out the difference of what's going on.
Let's just be honest. Comic books run deep.
They do.
You could get a doctorate in DC knowledge.
Or Marvel
knowledge too. That'd be 2 doctorates.
2 doctorates in that. So it does run deep. We do know there's a Captain Marvel movie coming out.
Sure.
And Captain Marvel
And that's going to be a woman.
is a woman, and that movie is going to be happening. I think I don't have the date. 2018, 19, something like that. I think is when Captain.
Well, you had to
Marvel
pull out a
movie
date
comes
and make us look dumb.
Yep, there we go. So the
I
Captain
think
Marvel
it is in
movie,
2019. It's a
I
ways
believe it
out.
is. Yeah, I mean they fluctuate on those dates anyway. They've been bouncing stuff back and forth. So anyway, Captain Marvel is getting a movie. Ms. Marvel is kind of a protege of Captain Marvel. Ms. Marvel's also the first, I believe, the first Muslim character to headline her own comic book. So Ms. Marvel, the person who is behind that is Kamala Khan, and she is actually a Muslim, Pakistani Muslim.
She's the writer.
No, the character, the alter ego is
gotcha.
Ms. Marvel.
Okay.
The actual character is Kamala Khan.
Oh, okay.
So anyway, there's speculation that it looks like there's a good chance that she is going to get her own television series, and I could see that making sense. I mean, that's definitely a break from what they normally do. It's a different kind of character, different kind of audience.
I think they're eager to gain some diversity lately.
Yeah.
Because they haven't had much of that.
Absolutely.
It's been almost token.
Yeah.
You know, oh, I guess we'll throw Black Panther in there, you know, and like little things like that. And honestly, comics in general for a lot of years had a diversity problem. So it's nice to see this, and I think it's a good idea to branch out a little bit. And inclusivity is always a good idea.
Absolutely. So there's the idea that that's going to happen, and then the other one that's being speculated a lot right now, and this is, I'm gonna try to explain this. It has to do with a character called Squirrel Girl. Squirrel Girl is, I love Squirrel Girl, and I'll explain why. So Squirrel Girl was a character that was that was created to give a kind of a lighter superhero, because everything, can go very dark in comics.
Right.
And Squirrel Girl was not meant to be dark at all. Squirrel Girl was meant to be a lighthearted superhero. Her superpower is indeed that she can control squirrels. So armies and armies of squirrels at her fingertips.
Sounds frightening to me. Like horrifying, really.
Yeah.
We had my cat, just side story here. My cat keeps bringing in little trophies, but she's not strong enough to kill them.
Yeah.
So she brought in a rat or a mouse, huge thing the other day. Didn't see it until it was already in the house. Spent half an hour trying to get the damn thing out of the house.
Oh God.
And I didn't know this, but like apparently like as years go on, I'm more and more freaked the hell out by rodents. Because having that thing in my house, I was like swearing. People on the street were yelling at us like, "Are you guys okay?" Like we're trying to move it out of there with broomsticks. Point being, like 1,000 squirrels behind somebody would scare the living crap out of me.
Oh, that is the premise behind her superpower. Yeah,
is
that she controls squirrels, and she's also very
I don't want to be there.
lighthearted and fun until you piss her off.
Yeah, and then the squirrels come.
And then the squirrels come. And she's got a
Holy
tail.
hell.
So the big thought right now is that I guess it's being shopped to cable and streaming networks. So it's being shopped around. The idea of it, whether it goes through, we'll see. I think it's definitely ripe for an actual show. Whether it would be taking it more of in a comedy role, because no matter what, it's still squirrels that she's going to be controlling and crawling over things. There's also talk that she may be part of the new Warriors show. We've talked about that on this show before, that the CW, I think, is who they were shopping that to, that it could be part of that.
Right,
to bring her into there. Wherever she ends up, I highly doubt she'll be in a movie. I really doubt they'll bring her into the cinematic universe. But a television series of Squirrel Girl, I'm in.
You're all for it.
I'm all for it. I will watch Squirrel Girl.
All right.
Because, I just think it's hilarious.
There it
is.
is.
An army of squirrels. So there we go.
There it is.
Let's see. Final question here. I know Marcelo, Doctor Strange has an Infinity Stone, and we saw Thanos getting ready to get them. So do you think that something serious is going to happen to him in the movie? That's really hard to say. Whether Thanos is going to show up in Doctor Strange, I guess, would be the bottom line.
They've been making little
hints
at Thanos in many of these movies. So that's
they've got to start dropping them in a little bit more, you would think.
And we are in phase 3, so phase 3 is part of the culmination. So
yeah,
I would say that there's a better than average chance that Thanos at least makes some kind of appearance. Now we do know that Brolin and the Russo brothers are already hanging out right now.
Yeah,
we got
filming some scenes.
We got a little bit of that this week that Brolin's like on set doing pre-production for the first Infinity War movie. So
we'll see.
Yeah,
maybe.
and we also know that the second movie isn't going to be called Infinity War anymore. Like we don't know if that, because they think that the storyline isn't continuous enough for that to happen.
Yeah, and that's
we just know that there's going to be a second Avengers movie of some sort. So
and changing
there's
the name,
lot up in the air right now.
Release dates are kind of been bouncing back and forth depending on things.
Yep.
So I'm sure we'll find out more in a couple of months as soon as that movie's out, and then we'll clarify it a lot better. But I think that's probably it for today.
Yeah, I'm going to give real quick, and I'm going to throw this at you.
Okay.
I'm going to do a Between the Cracks that I didn't set up because it reminded me of it when we were talking about Tom Hanks.
Okay.
So online, there are all these things that Adam Scott, the hilarious actor who you've seen in stuff like Step Brothers, he was on Party Down. He's a really hilarious guy. He and his wife have this series online called The Greatest Television Event Ever, where they recreate 80s TV show intros. They did Simon and Simon. They did Bosom Buddies with Tom Hanks.
Oh, yeah.
Which is an old Tom Hanks show. They did Heart to Heart. They're these like totally forgotten 80s TV shows.
And they just recreate the intros?
It's like this sarcastic version of them recreating it. Paul Rudd shows up in a lot of them. In one of them, like Paul Rudd like sleeps with Adam Scott's wife, and it's like all awkward.
No.
Yeah, and Paul Rudd's like being this huge jerk. And everybody's always making fun of Adam Scott. Anyway, these are online on YouTube. I highly recommend you check them out if you've got 10 minutes to burn. They're really funny.
What is the name of it?
I think you can find them under like Bosom Buddies or any of the original shows, but it's something like the greatest television event ever.
Okay.
And they're sarcastically saying that, obviously.
Okay.
They're really weird, but funny enough that they're worth 10 minutes of your time.
Greatest event in television
history.
history.
There it is, the greatest event in television history.
I will be checking that out.
It's so ridiculous.
It's like it's on Adult Swim.
And the Bosom Buddies one is really good.
All right. Well, that's something I'm going to be watching.
Came out of nowhere.
There we go. That was a Between the Cracks, a random Between the Cracks.
That's right.
That sounded weird when I said it that way. All right. Well, anyway,
Always
thank you
does.
so much, everybody, for tuning in today. We really do appreciate it. So if you're watching on YouTube, this show is a podcast. If you're listening via the podcast, we're on YouTube too. So find us on both of those, and different ones offer different things. We've got some different things on each show.
And one last thing, 50th anniversary of Star Trek.
50th anniversary of Star Trek.
Happy birthday, Star Trek.
Absolutely. So thank you so much, everybody. Send us an email, podcast@digitaltrends.com. Let us know what you think we should be talking about. If you have questions, comments, leave them on there. We'll try to get back to you on everything. And we will be back next week, next Friday at 2 p.m. Pacific time with another episode. Can you do the live long?